Writing is an important part of any college student's life. Whether it is a paper on the Aboriginals of Australia or a lab report explaining fractional distillation, every paper requires a unique process that varies from person to person. By gaining a better understanding of one's writing, any writer can get a better understanding of how to improve their process. After analyzing the transcript of my anthropology essay, I began to get a better understanding of how I write and some of the ways I can improve my writing. My writing process involves little planning on paper, and I usually start a paper without creating a basic outline. In my essay talking about Chinese workers in Foxconn factories, I did not plan, but started writing after watching several videos related to the topic. As I was watching these videos, I created a mental plan of how I would organize my paper. While this idea seemed great at the time, it would have been more effective to write the ideas down. This caused a problem because I forgot to mention several key examples listed in the video. I also had to reread several articles I used to cite my sources. While this does not affect the final draft, it took me longer to finish the assignment. Even though rereading my sources is tedious, it proved beneficial for this paper. After reading a source a second or third time, I got a better understanding of the topic, and I noticed important facts I previously skimmed over. An example of this would be when I thought Apple owned the Foxconn factory. This was a misconception that was not apparent until I looked over my sources a second time. In the future, I want to add more planning to my writing because I think it will speed up my writing process. When I write, I often spend hours on the same assignment with few breaks and distractions. I like to start an assignment and work on it until it is complete. This is a positive aspect of my writing style because distractions can slow down one's writing process. It is also easier for me to write when my sources are still fresh in my mind. At the same time, I find it important to read my paper the next day. When working on an assignment for hours, it is easy to get habituated to one point of view. After reading a paper the next day, I often notice errors in logic and grammar that I previously overlooked. When I am writing for a long time, it helps to have the occasional coffee break and snack to help keep morale high. While I was writing my paper on Apple employees, I had a snack while I worked. This may not have seemed important, but it kept me from burning out. While writing my paper on Apple workers, I had a brief instance of writer's block. This usually does not happen, but I was out of ideas. My solution to this problem was to do more research. The decision to do more research helped me uncover a new story about the living conditions of factory workers. I was able to talk about the cramped living quarters and the number of roommates each employee was forced to live with. This reflected my writing style and how I handle running out of ideas. I think it is far more productive than waiting for an idea. If I can't find a new source, I try to brainstorm by creating a list of ideas I would like to cover. After several hours of writing, my paper was finally done. However, my paper was far from being acceptable. This was the part where I revised my paper until I was sure there were no errors in logic or grammar. My revision process begins by reading my paper several times. While reading my paper aloud, I usually find most of the grammar errors. In my anthropology paper, I noticed typos and incorrect verb tense was my most common mistake. Another mistake I made while writing is caused by moving sentences around. This can be problematic, but sometimes I don't notice when words or fragments get left behind. Fortunately, this error is easily fixed. Revision is the least enjoyable part of my writing process, but it is necessary. Without revision, my writing would be riddled with errors and nonsensical phrases. My writing process is unique and a little unorthodox, but it works. The great thing about the writing process is it changes over time. The way we write is a work in progress and always subject to change. This is good news for my writing process because it is far from perfect. I aim to improve my writing process by planning before I write, brainstorming, and increasing my writing speed. This activity was insightful and taught me about my strengths and weaknesses as a writer.